I'm Indy Neidell.
And I'm Burns.
And this is the Baseball History Time Machine.
With a holiday's dose of baseball weirdness, nerdiness, and tales of glory, perhaps?
Yeah, why not? This episode comes out December 28th, 2025. So it is very much the holidays episode. I hope all our fans out there are having a good Christmas, a good holiday season, or a good whatever it is you're doing.
And we'll be back in 2026, yes?
Oh, yeah. I have some plans. In fact, starting next time, which was going to be this time, but starting next time, I thought we'd begin another Sluggers series, like we did Sluggers in the 1940s, but I was thinking Sluggers of the 1970s.
The 70s? We never cover stuff that recent.
And yet, it's half a century old.
What do you have for us today before we get to that, then?
Okay, today is a one-off that I thought would be fun to do as a holiday special.
Okay, and what's the topic?
Thinking of the three wise men, I was reminded of the Three Heinies.
That reminds me of a friend of mine called Heine Arnold.
Heine Arnold.
Arnold,
Of course, you're from South Africa.
Yeah,
I like
it's
it.
German.
Arnold,
It's well, it's not yet. It's actually French.
Heine Arnold was?
Arnold is actually a French surname.
Okay.
But yeah, we grew up together, and we went to the same primary school and the same boarding school.
Yeah.
Which is way, 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 way out. And for those of you who think boarding schools, especially in Sweden, people are like, "Oh, boarding schools, you must have come from a rich background." No, it was a Model C school, which is public school.
In South Africa.
So yeah, in South Africa, and there's nothing fancy about it. It's like the army, bro. So we went to we went to high school, primary school, high school together. He was at my parents' place more than he was at his own place over weekends, because we used to hang out and play FIFA and fighting games and all sorts of stuff.
Which year?
This is 2000. This would have been. It was either club football 2004 or FIFA 2005 and 2006.
I played the most was FIFA 98 actually.
Yeah, FIFA 98 is great. Yeah, that's the first one I ever played.
That was a good one.
Yeah, that one in 2002. So anyway, long story short, unfortunately, he passed tragically in. Like when we were at uni, and just a shout out to him and his family, and of course his sister, who helped me through a lot of stuff with physics and chemistry. She's a doctor now.
Okay, well, we can make this. This is about other Heinies, so we can make this an homage.
Yeah.
And to those of you out there who don't know anybody named Heinie, then think maybe of your bottom when you think of Heinie. Heinie is a nickname for Henry. Well, more correctly, Heinrich. Heinie is short for Heinrich. Hank is more for Henry than baseball. But those baseball heroes of Germanic ancestry back in the day were known as Heine.
And there were three of them?
There were more than three,
okay.
But I wanted to mention the big three because it was a suggestion we got on Instagram for an episode that came from a guy named Hart Passman. And I thought I'd give him a shout out too.
Yeah, thank you, Hart Passman. And anybody else out there, check us on Instagram and Facebook or YouTube. Please do offer us your suggestions. We have a list of episode ideas that's how long?
It is 98 episodes long, counting the ones that already came out. But that does not take into account part 2s or 3s of the ones we haven't done yet. And we usually make those. So the list is more like 300 episodes with them included.
So that's what, 600 weeks,
yeah.
Which is 12 more years of episodes
so
that we already have.
That's what we have. We have enough concepts for 12 more years of episodes.
All right. Also, another place where I see people have commented is on Spotify under the episodes, which is a new thing. It's a new feature.
I hadn't noticed.
That I've not noticed. So I'll go through those.
Okay,
I'll have to go through the episodes and see.
Okay, but this episode jumps the line.
All right. So tell me about the Three Heinies.
One is a Hall of Famer. One is a Triple Crown winner who was banned from baseball. And one had a 5 or 6 year run as the National League's best third baseman, but is remembered today only for his weird bat. Where shall I begin?
Well, obviously begin with the Hall of Famer.
That would be the great Heine Manush.
He has a Hall of Famer name, that's for sure. And what is Heine Manush's story?
Manush was a Southerner, and he was also a real hothead. And he was also one of 7 brothers, 6 of whom ended up playing professional baseball at some level.
Any of them play major leagues?
His brother Frank, his big brother Frank, 18 years his senior, appeared in 23 games with the A's in 1908, mainly as a third baseman.
I'm going to guess he didn't quite burn up the league.
He did not. He hit 156 with no power. He did, however, stick around the minors for a while, still playing Class C ball in 1921 at the age of 37.
All right.
Now, that was the same year Heinie really began his career. He played 6 minor league games in 1920.
Okay.
In 1921, he was with Edmonton of the West Canada League, and then in 1922, he was a bona fide star with Omaha of the Western League, hitting .376, and among his 245 hits were 44 doubles, 20 triples, and 20 homers.
Wait, more than 20 doubles, triples, and homers in a season? Didn't you once mention the major leaguers who had managed to do that?
I think I did at some point, maybe, but I will again if you'd like to know.
Of course I would.
There are 7 gentlemen who have managed that feat. Wildfire Schultz was the first in 1911.
Great name.
Then Sonny Jim Bottomley in 1928.
Also a great name.
Leading the league in triples, homers, and RBI.
Wouldn't all of them lead the league in triples since they all had at least 20 of them?
All except Schultz did, actually.
Okay.
He had 21 triples in 1911, but Laughing Larry Doyle had 25. Schultz won the Chalmers Award, which was the first MVP award. And that was the first season it was given out, a Chalmers automobile.
And I love these names. Laughing Larry, Sonny Jim.
Cleveland's Jeff Heath had 20 plus in all 3 categories in 1941.
Okay.
And then Willie Mays in 1957. Now, he also led the league with 38 stolen bases and 19 times caught stealing.
Okay.
Well,
all
also,
right.
so obviously most stolen base attempts, too. So George Brett was next in 1979. And then in 2007, one guy did it in each league. Curtis Granderson with the Tigers, Jimmy Rollins with the Phillies.
So it's more of a rarer feat than maybe a perfect game, would you say?
Yeah, I guess you could look at it like that. There's fewer of them. Although it is a whole season, not one game. But yeah, that's an interesting... Yeah. But back to Heinie Manush. That 1922 performance got him a promotion to the Tigers in 1923. This had its advantages, mainly being that another hot-headed Southerner, the great Ty Cobb, was the Tigers' manager, and he could sure teach people how to improve.
I mean, if anybody could, it had to be him, right? Like, if you look back at the guys who have played under Ty Cobb, and you mention how good they were when they were playing under Ty Cobb, I mean...
The Tigers of the 20s, well, I'll talk about some of them. The Tigers of the 20s could hit. Well, Cobb did, well, I'll get to that in a minute. But the Tigers did have a ton of hitting talent right then. And their outfield for the past few years at that point was Cobb, Harry Heilman, and Bobby Veach, one of the best outfields of all time. Heilman hit .403 that year, 1923, to win his second batting title. Jeez. And Cobb, of course, already had 12 batting titles and hit .401 the year before. And Veach and Cobb, though, were in their mid-30s, although both had really good years still in 1923. But Veach was starting to slow down, so rookie Manush, along with second-year man Fats Fothergill, both appeared in over 100 games.
Fats Fothergill?
Yep.
All right, how did Manush do?
He announced himself to the league with a bang, hitting .334 and 308 at-bats. He had to really battle for playing time in 1924 and 1925, though.
Okay.
And he hit .289 in 1924 and .302 in 1925. But 1925 was Al Wingo's one and only monster major league season, and he hit .370 as a regular Tiger outfielder.
Okay, hold up. I've never even heard of this guy, and he hit .370?
Which was actually the worst average in the Tigers' starting outfield that year. Cobb hit .378, and Heilman won his third batting title, hitting .393.
Okay, I'm going to guess that Cobb's teaching had a bunch to do with that.
Cobb began working with Manush much as he had with Heilman a few years before, and it really paid off. In 1926, Heinie Manush became the Tigers' regular center fielder, and he won the batting title, hitting .378.
Wow.
But check it out. There was a 4-way race for the batting title that year, and going into September 26th, the final day of the season, Manush was neck and neck with Babe Ruth, with Heilman and Fothergill just behind them.
Man, those Tigers could hit.
They could hit. In a final day doubleheader, Manush went 6 for 9 to hike his average to .378 and win the batting title, with Ruth stalling at .372. Ruth would have won the Triple Crown had he beat out Manush, and Ruth's 47 homers was more than any other AL team except the Browns and the A's.
There can only be one Ruth.
True that. There's only one Ruth. Now, that outfield of Heilman, Manush, and Fothergill, then, had 3 of the top 4 batting marks in the league.
And where was Cobb?
Cobb, in his last season with the Tigers, only appeared in 79 games, hitting .339. He would play a full season with the A's in 1927, hitting .357 in his final full season.
Okay, but how did Manush hit with Cobb no longer there?
Not so well. He didn't get along with new manager George Moriarty either, and his average dropped 80 points to .298.
Moriarty, that's funny. Still not bad, actually.
No, But Moriarty convinced the Tigers to trade Manouche after the season because they didn't get along. And this they did to the Browns.
Did that help?
It sure did. Manouche was involved in another photo finish batting race, this time with Goose Goslin and Lou Gehrig. I should point out that the Goose has always been one of my favorite, since I was 8 years old. Goose Goslin has been one of my favorite players of all time.
What was his name? Because he wasn't Goose.
No, it was Leon.
Leon Gosling?
Private Eye.
Yes.
Leon Gosling,
Leon
Private
Gosling,
Eye.
Private Eye.
You know, I don't have any kids. If I had a boy, I wouldn't mind having a kid named Leon because his nickname could automatically be Goose, right?
That's
if you had a kid named Leon, and people,
Yeah.
why is he named Goose? Was after Goose Goslin.
Yeah, of course.
Hall of
Did
Famer.
you not know Goose Goslin? Come
He's
on.
a Hall of Famer.
You not listen to the pod? Like, come on, bro.
Okay. Goslin hit over 400 the first half of the season, but cooled off a little in August, hitting 313 for the month. So the final 4 games of the season happened to be between Manouche's Browns and Goslin's Senators.
Okay.
And going into the last game, Goslin had the edge 379 to 377. Gehrig was at 372, so he was pretty much out of it unless both of the other two completely failed.
Jeez, exciting times. But just to put it into perspective, Lou Gehrig was third.
Yeah.
And you know what a legend he is.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows anything about baseball, or maybe even
Or disease.
or a disease, kind of knows who he is and
Lou
who
Gehrig
he
could hit.
was,
Yeah.
and he could hit.
Yeah.
So for him to
This is
fall
the
out
final
to
day of
these
the
two,
season.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
Now everyone was well aware the batting title is on the line. Goslin strikes out and grounds out his first 2 times up, and then he homers.
Okay.
And then he grounds out. So he is 0.3 of a point behind Heinie Manouche,
Here we go.
who started the game 2 for 3. But then Manouche makes an out. So Goslin has a 1-point lead, right?
Okay.
Going into the 9th inning. But Goslin is due up one more time. A note is sent from the press box and tells him that a hit gives him the title and an out means he finishes second. The whole dugout, the whole Browns, they have a
of course.
big discussion. Should they send in a pinch hitter, which would give him the title, or should he risk it and just hit? And everyone has an opinion, and Goslin decides he's going to go for it,
As he should.
which soon seems like a bad idea, since in no time he's down in the count 0-2, no balls and 2 strikes. So Goslin gets the idea that if he gets the umpire to throw him out of the game, he can't make an out, and he'll win the batting title, right?
Okay.
So he starts complaining to umpire Bill Guthrie that those 2 strikes, they weren't strikes, and he's calling him names.
Here we go.
And according to Goslin's Saber bio, he's even stepping on the umpire's feet. Now, Guthrie apparently has this to say to him. This is a quote. Okay, are you ready to bat now? You're not going to get thrown out of this game no matter what you do, so you might as well get up to the plate. If I wanted to throw you out, I'd throw you to Oshkosh, but you are going to bat, and you better be up there swinging. No bases on balls, do you hear me?
That's great.
So Goslin slams the next pitch deep into center field, and Beauty McGowan nearly grabs it and just misses it, and thus Goose Goslin edges Heinie Manouche for the 1928 batting title. I would have loved to have been there.
Drama. Pure cinema.
Okay, Manouche still led the league with 241 hits and 47 doubles, and finished second in the MVP race to Mickey Cochran, although that year neither Babe Ruth nor Lou Gehrig were eligible.
Yeah. Was this the last time you could only win the award once?
Yeah. But
Okay.
Manouche finished second again in the MVP in 1929, next year. That was his third top 5 finish in 4 years, and he would have 5 total, finishing third in both 1932 and 1933, though that was not in the Browns. Now, in 1930, there was a career-changing event for Heinie Manouche.
Okay.
The Browns were owned by Phil Ball, right?
Yeah.
Well, in June, Ball goes to the team hotel to talk to Manouche about whatever, and asks, can you phone up to his room? And the hotel phone operator tells the Browns owner, Phil Ball, he goes, well, Mr. Manouche is tired, and he doesn't wish to be disturbed during breakfast. Ball gets pissed off and he storms out. Then a few hours later, he goes to watch the game that day, bringing some friends with him.
Yeah.
General Crowder is on the mound for the Browns.
General Crowder?
Alvin Crowder. Alvin is his name when he's not General.
General
Crowder was with Sam Gray, one of the Browns' 2 aces, and he went 21-5 in 1928.
geez, okay.
So Crowder's on the mound, but the umpire makes a call that Crowder doesn't like. So he blows up and he throws the ball into the stands behind first base. The ball hits a railing and nearly hits the owner, Phil Ball, and his friends. So Ball is absolutely furious. And right then, he goes up to his office, calls Clark Griffith, Washington Senators owner, also a friend, and says, "What do you give me for Heinie Manush and General Crowder?" And Griffith says, Goose Goslin, and is about to add other players and some cash, because these are two big prizes, right?
Massive.
But Ball goes, "Deal. Goslin for Manush and Crowder." Straight up trade, no cash, because Phil Ball was pissed off.
Jeez, talk about thinking of your emotions. And what did the public think?
They did not like this. I mean, Goslin was beloved in Washington, and both Manush and Crowder were St. Louis's big stars.
Yeah.
And that's a 2-for-1 star deal, right? But done is done.
Yeah.
To be honest, Goslin did have a couple really good years with the Browns after that. But Manush and Crowder were the good end of the deal, leading the Senators to the pennant in 1933. Crowder, in fact, won 50 games, 1932 and 1933.
Okay, wow.
And Goslin had been traded back to the Senators by then and was also part of the 1933 pennant-winning team. And side note, only just for the one season, because he and Crowder then went to Detroit and won pennants there in 1934 and 1935.
That's the biggest blunder of all time in terms of trades.
There've been we have an all-time bad trades episode in the. Yeah. This is there have been ones that are far worse, but this is
such an emotional one. Yeah. Though. This is just an emotional one. It's not like he was having issues with the team. It wasn't like, oh, he was causing issues in the clubhouse. You know, it wasn't like he was a poison apple in the thing.
Well, Crowder and Manush were the reason that the Browns were a 500 team even then.
That's
because then they. In the 20s, they were all right. They almost won the 22, but in the 30s, they were a last place team.
All this because somebody wouldn't take your call in the morning. Get out of here. Okay, but what happened to Manush? Yeah, exactly, Mr. Manush. Yeah, but what happened to Manush then?
He stayed with Washington, and he finished his career with Boston, Brooklyn, and Pittsburgh, hanging up his spikes at the age of 37 in 1939 with a .330 lifetime batting average.
Okay, that's incredible. And what did Goose Goslin hit lifetime?
.316, but Goose had more power, finishing 9 times in the top 7 in the league in homers, and with a .500 career slugging mark, which is pretty darn unusual at the time.
Insane, yeah. Is there more to tell about Heinie number 1?
Not today, I guess. I have more Heinies to cover.
Okay.
Manush did some... I've never said that sentence before.
I have much more Heinies to cover. 2 more Heinies, in fact, to cover.
Manush did some minor league managing after his major league career, and then some scouting. He made the Hall of Fame in 1964, 4 years before Goose Goslin.
Okay, so which Heinie is next?
I will do the controversial one next. Heinie Zimmerman.
Okay.
Triple Crown winner in 1912 with the Cubs, hitting .372 with 14 homers and 104 RBI in the dead ball era.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He also led the National League in RBI in 1916 and 17, and then was out of baseball after 1919 at the age of 32, which he very much brought upon himself.
What did he do?
He was from New York, the son of a German immigrant, and he played second, short, and third. But he came up with Chicago, who had one of the greatest infields in history, Joe Tinker, Johnny Evers, Frank Chance, and Harry Steinfeld.
Yeah. How does the poem go?
I'm glad you asked me. I love this. It's my favorite Chicago poem. It was published in a New York paper in 1910 after the Cubs killed a Giants' late-inning rally with a double play. These are the saddest of possible words. Tinker to Evers to Chance. Trio of bear cubs and fleeter than birds. Tinker and Evers and Chance. Ruthlessly pricking our gonfalon bubble, making a giant hit into a double. Words that are heavy with nothing but trouble. Tinker to Evers to Chance.
That's brilliant.
He's one of the greatest baseball poems of all time.
I love that so much. Like, I want that framed, like, in my house. Like,
that's a good idea.
That's a great idea.
I'd love to sell things like that on
Patreon. I would. Yeah, exactly. Like, make a T-shirt even.
Oh, the Tinker to Evers
T-shirt.
A lot of Cubs fans would buy a Tinker to Evers.
A lot of Cubs fans.
We're saying this. I don't know if I'm cutting this out or leaving it in, because there's some entrepreneurial guy in Chicago listening to this.
Yeah. Maybe we should cut it out and keep it to ourselves. Yeah. Okay.
But with that as the Chicago infield, Zimmerman did not see too much playing time for a few years until second baseman Johnny Evers hurt his ankle late in 1910.
Okay.
Evers was then sidelined for most of 1911, and Zimmerman filled the void and was suddenly one of the National League's premier hitters, finishing in the top 10 in hitting, slugging, triples, homers, and RBI. Thing is, his fielding then wasn't so hot, so his status as a regular in 1912 was not assured until that February when Jim Doyle, who was the Cubs' regular third baseman in 1911, died of appendicitis.
Oh, wow.
And Zimmerman became the new third sacker and had his Triple Crown season in 1912.
So he was there to stay.
Oh yeah, he was Chicago's hero, and the public began calling him the Great Zim, which he also began calling himself. He had a bit of an ego. No, okay, he had a huge ego. Some seasons he could really back it up, but some he couldn't or didn't. And over the years was often accused of indifferent play and was often moody.
Sounds like me. Did he stick with the Cubs?
They gave up on him in 1916 and traded him to the Giants for Laughing Larry Doyle.
Oh, there we go.
At the time of the trade, Zimmerman was actually under suspension for laying down on the job.
Why would the Giants want him then? I mean, the Giants made a questionable trade this year, but that's besides the point.
That's not John. These are John McGraw's Giants.
Oh, okay.
He's one of the best managers in history.
Yeah. Okay.
McGraw believed he could straighten Zimmerman out. He believed he could straighten anyone out. Right?
Jeez.
And in 1917 with the Giants, Zimmerman had his best season since 1913, and the Giants won the pennant.
Fair enough.
He was and will be, however, remembered as the GOAT of the World Series that year, though it's not really fair.
Okay, you're going to have to unpack what happened. What happened?
It was against the White Sox.
Okay.
Game 6 turned out to be the final game. With no outs in the fourth, Chicago speedster Eddie Collins was on third, right?
Mm-hmm.
No outs. And the batter just hits a ground ball back to Giants pitcher Rube Benton.
Mm-hmm.
Collins gets caught in a rundown between third and home. Now he manages to slip past the catcher, but neither Benton nor the first baseman were backing up on the play, right? I have no idea why. But so Zimmerman just basically chases Eddie Collins across the plate. And this proved to be the series-winning run. Now the papers were merciless on Heinie Zimmerman.
But that wasn't his fault. Where's the backup? Who's backing up at home plate?
It was not his fault at all, but it didn't matter. The New York Times wrote, "The great crowd shook with laughter and filled the air with cries of derision at one of the stupidest plays that has ever been seen in a World Series. Zim thought it was a track meet instead of a ball game and wanted to match his lumber wagon gait against the fleetest player in the game." Now, Collins, too, said it wasn't Heinie's fault. Who was he supposed to throw the ball to? I mean,
yeah, exactly.
There
was no one.
There's no one covering the plate. When Zimmerman died in 1969, the papers read, "Giants Heinie Zimmerman dies. Committed 1917 series boner."
That's such bullshit. That's slander.
Yeah.
Like, that's slander. I would be up in New York Times' face with that.
But it had repercussions because it really turned Heinie Zimmerman bitter and very disillusioned with baseball. 1918, the next season, was his worst full season. Then in 1919, the Giants got Hal Chase, who might have been the best fielding first baseman of all time, but is also still known today as the worst game fixer and game thrower of all time. And he took Zimmerman under his wing as something of a sidekick.
I kind of can guess where this is going, because, I mean, the media created a villain.
Yeah.
They created a villain.
Yeah, but Chase was already a villain.
Okay, Chase. Forget Chase.
Villain, yeah.
Forget Chase. I'm talking about Zimmerman.
Well, Chase and everything were inseparable that summer. They did everything together that summer, and they often hung out with known gamblers. And soon enough, and I'm going to quote Zimmerman's Saber bio, okay?
Okay.
On September 11th, Zimmerman approached pitcher Fred Toney after the first inning of a game in Chicago and informed him that it would be worth his while not to bear down on the Cubs. One inning later, Toney asked to be removed from the game, but Zimmerman didn't stop there. That same evening, Chase and Cubs infielder Buck Herzog informed Benton that he could, quote, make some easy money by letting Chicago win. When Benton beat the Cubs anyway the following afternoon, Zimmerman approached him in the hotel lobby after the game and said, "You poor fish, don't you know there was $400 waiting for you to lose that game today?"
I hate this.
Once word of these and other such incidents began to reach McGraw, Zimmerman was suspended. And soon enough, McGraw got him to confess, and that was the end of Heinie Zimmerman's career.
Wow.
In 1920, when the Black Sox scandal came out, a bunch of players also testified against Zimmerman. And though he was never officially banned from baseball like the Black Sox, he was out. He couldn't even play semi-pro ball after that. No one would have him on their team. He turned up for just a semi-pro game, and the people there said, "No, get out of the park. Get out of the ballpark.
It's branded
You're not
for
welcome."
life, basically.
Yeah, not welcome.
Jeez. So what did he do without baseball?
He worked as a plumber. He had been an apprentice plumber as a teenager. He did, for a couple of years, run a speakeasy with the notorious gangster Dutch Schultz. This was during Prohibition.
Okay.
Zimmerman's brother-in-law was one of Schultz's top lieutenants and actually ended up murdered, gunned down outside a Manhattan nightclub.
Was it a public nightclub, though? And what does one do at a nightclub without booze?
I genuinely don't know the answers to either of those questions. I would very much like to.
Okay, so we're up to Heinie number 3 then.
That we are. Heinie Groh, third baseman par excellence. Sean Layman wrote his Sabre bio. I don't know if I'm pronouncing Sean Layman or Layman's last name.
Layman sounds right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm going to quote you the first 2 paragraphs of his bio so you get an idea.
Yeah, sounds good.
Heinie Groh was undoubtedly the National League's best third baseman of the dead ball era. Historian Greg Gages suggests that Groh would have won at least one Most Valuable Player award for the 1919 season, and perhaps 2 others, 1916 and 1918, and that 8 of his 12 full seasons were of all-star quality. Furthermore, contemporaries considered him the National League's best fielding third baseman,
Wow.
so he likely would have added at least a half dozen gold gloves to his trophy case. While his defense was important, Groh's feats at the plate made him a star.
Jeez.
Okay, I'm breaking the quote because I want you to pay everybody to pay very much attention to the next part of the quote, because this is how Heinie Groh stood at the plate.
Okay.
Positioning himself at the extreme front of the batter's box with both feet facing the pitcher, he choked up on his peculiar bottle bat and slapped at the ball. Taking advantage of his size to create a small strike zone and draw a lot of walks, Groh also became adept at bunting and executing the hit and run. He led the National League in walks in 1916, in hits in 1917,
Wow.
and runs scored in 1918. Groh also led the league in doubles twice and had a batting average of .298 or better each year from 1917 to 1921.
So he sounds like the real deal. I'm trying to imagine him facing
standing
the
facing
pitcher,
the pitcher.
but wouldn't that, as a pitcher, that would throw me off.
I don't even know. I've seen, you can Google him and you see
but
photos of him standing.
How do
there.
I throw to that? As a pitcher, how do I throw to that?
Well, he's gonna. I don't know.
That's so strange. Okay, they mention his peculiar bat though, and you said something about it.
Right. Groh came up with the Giants in 1912, but they had plenty of talent and won the pennant.
Yeah.
So he didn't get much playing time.
Okay.
But John McGraw, Giants manager, suggested to the relatively small Groh, who weighed 71 kilos or I guess 158 pounds, that he might hit better if he used a bat with a bigger barrel. Thing is, Groh had really small hands, small enough that they couldn't properly grip such bats.
Okay.
So Spalding Sporting Goods custom made them for him. They had a really thick barrel and a really thin handle and no gradual taper. No gradual taper.
That would look so strange.
It was really sudden, and thus was Heinie Groh's bottle bat born.
The bottle bat.
The bottle bat, and you guys, everybody out there, unless you're driving,
yeah.
you can Google Heinie Groh, and Groh is Groh, right? You can go ahead and Google Heinie Groh bottle bat, and you will see it's really cool. I wonder why nobody sells bottle bat. I suppose they break easier with the small handle.
I mean, we've had torpedo bats. We might as well have bottle bats.
Well, Groh is still famous today for Heinie Groh and the bottle bat. Nobody remembers what he did, but his bat is more famous than.
So did the bat work for him?
It did, but not with the Giants.
Okay.
He was included in a multiplayer trade with the Reds, and then found himself as their starting second baseman and leadoff hitter. They moved him to third in 1915, which was a position of serious importance in the bunt crazy dead ball era. His Sabre bio says, and I haven't confirmed this, but it's likely true, that Groh had the best fielding percentage of any third baseman who played before 1920.
Jeez, that's quite the claim. But how did he hit for the Reds then?
He blossomed. From 1914 through 1921, his OPS plus was always between 120 and 150.
Gee.
He topped 300 more often than not, maxing out at 331. He led the league in on-base percentage twice, doubles twice, runs scored once. He actually led the majors in runs scored in 1918. He had a run of 5th, 3rd, 2nd, 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 and 6th in offensive WAR, being topped by Rogers Hornsby every time.
Well, I mean,
it's Hornsby.
I mean, that's Rogers Hornsby.
So the dude the dude could field and hit very, very well.
crazy.
And he'd also steal around 20 bases a year, so he was fast as well.
It's true what they say. Explosives come in small packages, and he was the complete package by the sounds of it.
Very much so. And in 1919, when the Reds got two-time batting title winner Jake Dahlberg to join Groh and Ed Roush, who won his second batting title that same year, just 11 points higher than Groh, the Reds finally had the offensive pop to join what was a stunningly good pitching staff and win the pennant, their first since winning the American Association in its first season in 1882.
How good was the pitching, though?
They had a 2.23 team ERA, which was a 1.26 ERA plus as a team. That's not like they're ace or anything. And then they faced the White Sox in the series.
Yeah, the Black Sox who threw series for money, right?
Yeah. And these White Sox, or Black Sox, have been mythologized to a degree. And people say there's no way the Reds could have won, honestly. But I'm not sold on that.
No?
No, I mean, it's the World Series. You just have to win 4 games. And being an underdog is one thing. But come on, you see 3-4 game series in a year when the White Sox set the losses record a couple years ago. They swept the Rays. I remember that. I mean, maybe those White Sox could not have beat these White Sox.
Yeah.
But the Reds were a complete team, just like the 1919 White Sox. But unlike the Sox, they were not totally dysfunctional. And I don't see, looking at the lineups, Whites should have been an easy series. The American League was stronger in general than the National League, sure, but the Reds walked away with the pennant. 9 games ahead of the Giants and 21 or more ahead of everyone else.
Wow.
A .686 winning percentage, as opposed to the .629 of the Sox, who topped the Indians by just 3.5 games.
But I've heard that gamblers were offering 5-1 odds on those Reds winning.
That should set off alarm bells right there.
Exactly.
There's never been a series where the true odds on someone winning were 5-1 against. Anything can happen in the World Series.
Yeah.
And everyone out there, consider this. Who masterminded fixing the series? Gamblers.
Yeah.
Who sets the odds? Gamblers. Who knows the Sox are going to lose and does not want people betting on the Reds?
The
Gamblers. So if the odds against the Reds were 3-2 or 4-3 or even 2-1, they'd have had a lot more people betting on them.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot more money betting on them. Putting the odds up to 5-1, your local gambler giving you 5-1 that the Reds on the Reds winning. The public would think a bet like that was just throwing away money.
Yeah, of course.
Because the gamblers knew they were. Well, if you were a punter, they'd go, I'll give you 5-1. You want to bet on the Reds? You'd be like, okay. They know there's no way the Reds are going to win. So,
yeah, I mean, I guess they wanted to drive the betting public away from the Reds.
Well, that's how it looks to me anyhow. If I was a gambler, that's what I would. If I knew the Reds were going to win, I don't want people betting on the Reds.
No, of course not.
But I don't know how much money was bet and won and lost on the series. I'm sure that information is at least somewhat available somewhere. So if anyone out there knows, please let us know.
And how did Heinie Groh do in the series?
He had a terrible series, actually. He hit just 172.
Yikes.
But he would make up for it a few years later.
How come?
I will get there. He had a hiccup in his career in 1921.
Okay.
A major salary dispute with Cincinnati owner Gary Herman. It wasn't just Groh. A few players held out, refusing to play when the season started, including the stars Groh and Roush. Roush is a Hall of Famer, claiming that their salaries were ridiculously low. One of the starting pitchers, actually, Ray Fisher, even quit the major leagues to take over coaching baseball at the University of Michigan instead because better pay.
Wow.
Roush came back to the team May 1st, but Groh said he would never again play for the Cincinnati Reds.
What did they do?
Groh and the Reds worked out a deal whereby Groh would sign a contract, but then immediately be traded back to the Giants.
Okay.
Commissioner Landis, though, voided this because a dissatisfied player dictating a transfer to a contending club before he'd sign a contract might set a bad precedent.
I can see that.
So his ruling was that Groh could only play for the Reds the rest of 1921.
Did that affect Groh's play?
It did not seem to, because that's the year he hit .331.
Oh, okay.
His highest average.
Okay.
Okay, he only played 97 games because he was gone for a while.
But he didn't stay with the team after that season.
No, he went back to the Giants.
Okay.
And this was good fortune because the Giants won 4 straight pennants, 21-24.
There we go.
And Groh came back in 22. But he had a lackluster year in 22, having his worst season at the plate of his career so far, hitting just .265. But When I said Groh would make up for the 1919 series, I meant it. Groh hit .474 in the 1922 series, leading both teams. He got a hit in each and every game as the Giants beat the Yankees 4-0 with one tie.
Does that count as a sweep if there's a tie?
I don't know. I mean, they didn't actually win every game.
But they didn't lose a game either.
Yeah. That's a really tough question, actually. If anyone out there knows the answer, again, let us know.
Yeah.
Groh was proud enough of his series leading average that 474 was on his car license plates from then on.
That's cocky. I like that.
He was the regular third baseman for the pennant-winning Giants in 23 and 24. Mm-hmm. And he did bounce back a bit from 22, but late in 1924, he hurt his knee. So 18-year-old Freddie Lindstrom, who's now a Hall of Famer too, although one of the, to me, least deserving, but still, Freddie, he's a great player anyway, took over at third. This turned out to be permanent because Groh's knees sabotaged the rest of his career. He was a part-timer for the Giants in 25 and 26 and ended his career with the Pirates in 1927, but got to appear in a fifth World Series with them that fall against the Yankees. But hey, while it's on my mind, I want to get back to Freddie Lindstrom in the 1924 series for a second.
A sidetrack?
Not a very long one, I think.
He says.
Yeah, he says.
He says.
He says.
He says, hopefully.
Hang on, I'm going to have a drink before this, okay?
All right, cheers.
Yeah, cheers. We're filming this on December 23rd. Filming.
On Festivus.
We're recording this on Festivus, December 23rd. That series, the Senators beat the Giants in 7 games for their lone series championship. And Game 7 is a legendary game, one of the most dramatic games in World Series history. I will give you a series recap, right?
Please do.
In Game 1, 36-year-old Walter Johnson finally pitching in a World Series, right?
God, yeah.
And he won his third and final Triple Crown and the AL MVP that year. He was outdueled in 12 innings by Art Neff, right? Okay. Washington came back to win Game 2 in the bottom of the 9th. In Game 3, Washington threatened to come back in the 9th, getting a bases-loaded walk to be down 6-4 with the bases loaded and 1 out, but no joy. In Game 4, our friend Goose Goslin went 4 for 4 and drove in 4 runs as the Senators pretty easily won.
Okay.
Game 5, Johnson's on the mound again, goes the distance again, but got beat 6-2. The Senators edged Art Neff 2-1 in Game 6, so the stage is set for the finale.
Yeah, let's go. This is awesome.
Curly Ogden is pitching for Washington.
Curly Ogden?
He was okay with Washington in 1924 after they got him mid-season from the A's, going 9-5. But he's not really who you think of as starting Game 7 of the World Series material, right? But it was a ruse.
How was it a ruse?
Washington manager Bucky Harris started righty Ogden so the Giants would play their versus right-hand lineup, with lefty hitters like rookie Bill Terry playing, who McGraw had not been using against lefties. And then Harris would bring in left-handed pitcher and number 2 starter George Mulgridge.
So basically using Curly as an opener.
Yeah, 100 years ahead of his time.
Wow. Did it work?
Well, Ogden struck out 1, walked 1, and then in comes Mulgridge, who'd been warming up in secret under the stands. Nobody knows he's warming up.
That is absolutely devious.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, though, the Giants, in spite of this, the Giants were leading 3-1 in the bottom of the 8th. But Washington loaded the bases with 2 outs. This is Game 7 of the World Series.
This is crazy, man. Yeah. I'm sweating, bro.
Okay, Bucky Harris was player manager, and he played second base. Now, he hit a grounder to Freddie Lindstrom. That's why I was reminded of this. Hit a grounder to Freddie Lindstrom at third, but the ball hit a pebble, supposedly, took a bad hop over Lindstrom, and 2 runs scored to tie the game.
A pebble?
This is what's always bugged me. It's the World Series. You're the home team, and you have a pebble or pebbles. Every time I've read this story, they never mention why there's a pebble in the infield. How did it get there in the first place? A baseball stadium, that's a closed environment. It's a closed environment. Nobody brings pebbles into the baseball stadium.
I don't know. It seems very suspicious. It's
okay,
very suspect.
There's more.
Okay.
Walter Johnson comes in relief in the 9th inning to pitch what turns out to be the last 4 innings, holding the Giants scoreless for all 4 innings. In the bottom of the 12th, Washington catcher Muddy Rule hits an easy foul pop-up, but Giants catcher Hank Gowdy throws off his face mask, to make the catch, right? And then steps in the mask and blows the catch. No. So with another shot, Rule doubles. So he's on second, then Johnson walks.
He was a good hitting pitcher, I believe.
He was one of the best, and then in 1925, he set the record for pitchers. He hit 433 in 107 at bats.
Wait. 433 as
As a pitcher, yes, but Game 7 of the 1924 World Series here. No sidetrack on the sidetrack.
Okay.
There's an
No
extra
sidetrack.
innings.
Okay.
So men on first and second. Earl McNeely hits another grounder to Lindstrom, and it takes another weird hop, with some sources saying it hit the same pebble, goes into left field, and Muddy Rules scores the series-winning run.
Oh, Curly and Muddy, what's going
I
on?
tend to focus more on the pebbles, but
What a weird ending.
I know, but thrilling, huh?
The same pebble is crazy.
I don't know about the pedal thing. I mean, Freddie Lindstrom, he was a great fielding third baseman, so something happened. He's a Hall of Famer, even though I don't think he's really deserving of being in the Hall.
Right.
But he's still in, so he's obviously good.
Okay.
Right, and now back to the Heinies. According to BaseballReference.com, there were 7 other Heinies who played Major League Baseball, notably including Heinie, who led... Sorry, I knew you were going to laugh when I said that.
Okay.
I always thought... Here's an interesting thing.
Yeah.
When I was writing back and forth with Hart Passman, I mentioned Heinie. I always thought it was spelled like M-E-N... with an I-E, like Heinie.
Yeah.
But he wrote back and he wrote Heinie with just an E at the end. And I looked it up and I'm like, I had been wrong since I was a kid. He wasn't, but it's still Heinie.
It's still Heinie.
That's what they called him, Heinie. That's
crazy.
Yeah. And he led the league, he led the National League in wins in 1931, 19 for the Pirates.
All right.
There's also Heinie Wagner, shortstop, who twice finished in the MVP top 12 with Boston. But you guys can look up the other Heinies for yourself if you like. Most of them actually, as it turned out, had decently long careers.
Okay, I'm guessing that means we're wrapping things up.
With a ho 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 and an auld lang syne, I'm wrapping up this majestic holiday experience.
But one thing first, who was the last Heinie in the big leagues?
The last of the Heinies was Heine Heltzel, whose real name, funny enough, was not Henry or Heinrich. It was William Wade Heltzel. Don't ask, I have no idea.
Okay, when did he play?
During World War II, he was a replacement guy who played for the Braves and Phillies in 1943 and 44. He hit 157 in 40 total games played.
Wow, what a kind of a letdown for the Heinies.
For the Heinies, I know.
So no more Heinies.
Well,
that was the last Heine.
We can dream, Burns.
That was the last Heine.
We can dream. Somebody make a movie about it.
We've mined our last Heine.
We've mined God. Okay, everyone out there, we hope you are as full of holiday spirit as we are, wherever you are. Please join us at patreon.com. Just look up Indy Neidell's Baseball History Time Machine there. If you join us at our one and only membership tier so far of $4 a month, you get our episodes ad-free there and a day or 3 early, depending when I edit them. I put each of them up in the store there, so it's available. You know, if you pay us for a tier, you can have all the episodes free, ad-free.
Which is nice.
Now, some of you might think, well, we get ad revenue because you hear there's ads, so why should we give us money on Patreon? The thing is, we don't want to have to rely on ad revenue. We'd prefer to make these episodes ad-free for everyone. So if we earn enough on Patreon, we can do that.
Yeah.
And the money you kindly give us goes to getting ever more baseball research materials, too.
Such as what lately?
I'm glad you asked. That Lee Allen book I talked about last time mentioned a book, it references a book that came out in the 1940s called Ball, Bat, and Bishop that traces the origins of ball sports, even all the way back to ancient Egypt.
Many ball sports?
I don't know how many because it has not arrived yet.
Okay, you ordered it.
Yeah, but it does go over tennis, polo, and baseball. And I'm curious what its take from the 1940s is, considering all the newer research since then. But that book cost me $120.
I mean, kind of sounds worth it.
I'm really sure it will be. Lee Allen wrote that it was a fantastic book, so I had to get it on eBay.
Yeah, and everybody out there, speaking of books and writing, write us on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube.
And Spotify.
Yeah, and like we said earlier, Spotify. I will be checking the comments under every episode.
Write to us just like Hart Passman did. Thanks again, Senor Passman. And we'll be back in 2 weeks in 2026. Okay, goodbye from me, Indy Neidell.
And me, Burns.
And the Baseball History Time Machine. Seriously, a pebble in front of third base. Game 7 of the World Series. I mean, why? The groundskeeper. They must have yelled at the groundskeepers or something.